Looks good. I think we're rocking and rolling and grooving. And I want to lick my iPhone charger. I want to lick it twice. That's a private joke between me and Whip and everybody else. Hey, hang on there. I missed out on it. Where did I start off to? Tracy, Candace, Lunar. I'm just gonna say hi to everybody. Standing foot. Put a banana on the moon. All of it. Put the bananas on the moon. Oops. MSV, yes. Hey, Dana. I need my glasses to see what you got done there, man. Sorry. Girl, boy, people. David, Lunar, Pam, Grouchy, Don B, Lori, Matthew, Toxic, maybe a little goofy, Diver Dude. Hey man, I wasn't talking to you about swearing. I'm talking to all those PR firms out there. I don't care what anybody says to me. That's no big deal. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and I hope everybody has one. And I hope everybody tells me what that is. And why not? In the last 4 months, we've racked up over 150,000 comments. You got any idea how many friggin' comments that is? That's unbelievable. I read every one of them. But it definitely gave me... it's more than that, but that was just a rough number. I'll get in and count them just out of curiosity now. Because I think that's really says something for you folks. Don't it? 150,000? Wait, I'll make sure I'm even talking. Talking to all those PR firms out there. I'm talking. Missing Sky. Matthews. Jill, Sergeant, Basic, Toxic again. Strontium, Mike. No pun intended. Frozen Screen. Camshaft. That'd be a good name, Frozen Screen. Zip Free. Sergeant Albert. De Harblo Me. That's a little tricky. Alrighty. A really slow. It's like a bumblebee that in the spring comes out and lands in the sunshine. Oh, I got a whole bunch more. Hi, Pam, Mickey, Kathy, Annie, Amthers, Catch Alive, Paul, Westerfield. Hi, Kate. Folks, Kate got a chat room. I got a link below. And we'll support her 100%. And there's a link there to Rad Chick. She just done an article. And she mentioned me in the article. And so I hope everybody goes over there and has a good. It's a pretty good article too. Well, I'm not the whole article or nothing, but she did mention a really good paragraph there. Very kind, extraordinarily kind. Of course, you know, it was one of those days, and then you get such a nice message. It really makes the day. I crashed right after I read it. Stressed me out. All this work, finally somebody says my name. My name is Dana Durnford, by the way, in case anybody doesn't send your blah. And so Kate's got one there. Rad Chick's got a good read. She's got another radio show, a good one coming up next week. I'll keep you guys informed. Have the link there for you. I got another link there, Plutopia, Nuclear Families, Atomic Cities, and the Great Soviet and American Plutonium Disaster by Kate Brown. And Kate was Associate Professor of History at the University of Maryland, Baltimore country. And hang on, she is the author, A Biography of No Place. Now, this is about her book, but it's... she does a lot of questions and answers after. She has a talk. It's like 45 minutes or something. the talk itself, but then it keeps on going for another 25 minutes or something. I've listened to it several times, and that's fascinating. She's talking about the very first 2 pounds of plutonium, among other things, Fukushima and Hanford. And when did that come out? October the 14th. Anyway, there's a link below to that, and that's really important. That's a really important one. Now, I don't know if you can jack that video and put it up on the internet and get away with it. I'm not sure if that's a good idea. Be careful you don't get a strike on your account, because you're talking about book TV. But I think they changed their policies. I know they used to do that a few years ago. And so that's some really good ones. There's a whole bunch of other links down below, folks. And once again, that article of Christina Consolo wrote, you know, think about what she does all the time, right? Think about how much, she's just as dedicated as anybody I know out there, but she's a thinker, right? And she's able to get out there and find information, and then that's what she's looking for, right? Patterns. And it's really good because it's from a woman's perspective, right? Because I'm a bit more on the rough side sometimes. So you need people out there looking for the dead babies and the dead mutated insects and plants, and someone that's aware of all this, and the airplanes and celebrities and stuff like that. That's so important. And, you know, Nuke Radio, and she's out there pushing back unimaginably since day one, as far as I know. And, you know, you got to support people like that, right? That's why we got them links below all the time. Now we got another link there. And I think it's a really good article. I'm quite proud of it. It's definitely funny, so, and some really good stuff there. I'm not going to tell you. Because you're going to have to go read it. And it's worth it. I wouldn't send you over there for something to do just because I'm in it. But it's actually a really, really good article. Very kind. Because you can say whatever you want to me or about me. And I'll take it, yay, you know. But when somebody puts a lot of work into it like that, it's awesome. Black Second says he's not a troll. His promises. Whatever that means. I don't know. I don't think you are. You seem like you're pretty good. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't pay attention. Lori. Well, I do when it's blatantly obvious. But I mean, a lot of people will make offhand remarks, and you can't just shoot people down, folks, because you make a stupid remark. Because they're learning. But it's, you know, that's why we're the hounds. We educate people, right? That's what we're all about. I mean, yeah, I kind of go over the top sometimes, hanging from the, and that'll never change, I'm sure. But generally what it was all about, and always will be about, and is about, and has to be about, is an informed population. Right? They can't use bananas anymore without getting thumped by the hounds of Fukushima. Alright? Or everybody else out there, which is the hounds of Fukushima, that know better. They can't use walking in the sunshine anymore like they have for 50 years. The hounds of Fukushima will just eat them for breakfast. They can't use any kind of X-ray in the equation of radioactive fallout because they'll get eaten alive for it, and then they're discharged, which is awesome. Just like they do with the homeless, unfortunately. In Fukushima, the heroes of our planet are the homeless that can't read or write. How come we can't send in all the university professors that says it's not bad? It's like a banana. If they're not worried about it, let them get in there and fix it. I'm sure there's a lot of homeless people there who won't have no issues with that. And we'll call them heroes, just like we call the homeless heroes, the faceless, nameless heroes. There's 800 of them missing. That's nothing. That's a drop in the bucket, see? That's confirmed though, 800. Victims that are probably, you know, in a nuclear pile in there. Just the site, let me come back over here, hang on. So I don't get sidetracked, because you got to watch me sometimes. What do I do? Yum, 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 yum. Hang on, I'll go the other way. Everybody's like, what the hell, Dana? That's my winding up to the shitty shit. But let me just flash. Just go flash. Headlines. Headlines. Remember them? Headlines. NRC, 100 hours after the quake. I'm going to tell you a little story. We hear radiation levels are up even in Tokyo. Well, you know, because the aerosols go up and the wind carries it. You ever heard the expression by the crow? Right, so if you're able to fly by the crow, it only take you so long. But if you got to go by the highway or by boat or by plane, it takes. You got to go to the airport and get up and land, get a taxi, blah blah blah. If you go by the crow, that's important. Reports that spent fuel pools 1, 2, 3 had started to boil. 1, 2, and 3 had started to boil. Now this was after the earthquake in Fukushima. Units 1, 2, and 3 had 100% meltdowns, plus the pools had boiled, were boiling dry. What they call, that's their terminology, right? But what does that mean? Well, what happens is an earthquake came in there, and it picked up all these plants and it broke their backs. That's the basics of it. And the evidence is 1,000 miles across the country that an earthquake picked buildings up and snapped them. And we got the pictures from Tokyo where the hotels or the skyscrapers were rocking. Remember that? It was extraordinary. It was just imaginable. Right across the country, I think it was like a 800 or 1,000 miles radius that .9 went. They felt it, recorded it. But the damages, remember what happened in the Philippines before October 25th, 10 days before that. Fukushima had a 7.6, but 10 days before that, and there was an internet blackout. And there's a reason I'm telling you all this, but 10 days before that, in the Philippines, they had a 7.6, and it knocked down 250,000 houses. And anyway, the reactor buildings were picked up and broken, and they're still broken. And that's how all the groundwater, the 10 and 15,000 tons of highly radioactive groundwater, is in the bottom of these buildings, because they're pouring it into the pool over the hot broken rods, and then it pours out, and so it brings all these particles and atoms and isotopes, extraordinary numbers, unimaginable numbers. Let me keep going for a second here. France says Japan has lost control and the French should leave the country. That was March the 16th, they recognized that. The government says 1,500 tons of highly radioactive sludge may end up as soil for gardening. Highly radioactive sludge. 1,500 tons for gardening in 5 prefectures. And there's nearly 50,000 tons of sludge at water treatment facilities with high radioactive cesium. But that's all they look for. They didn't look for the 30 times more strontium that goes with that. Right? And they're not looking for the plutonium. They stopped doing that. They stopped looking for the uranium. It's too hard for them to find. You can't go out and find it. You can go out and find counts, but you can't identify it with your Geiger counter. You can't go out with your Geiger counter and take a glass of water and count 7,000 becquerels. Right? You got to take a cubic yard of water, dry it, and weigh out the potassium 40, and then multiply it with the grams by becquerels to come up with what's in the local drinking water. And that's got nothing to do with anything that we talk about, potassium 40. So anybody that says banana or walking in the sunshine as part of radioactive fallout or part of that equation with a nuclear waste facility, not mentioning no names, SWIP, and right, because that's what they done every day, day in, day out. KQR, oh, blah, Channel 13 down there, I can't even remember now. Channel 13 came out with headline after headline after headline after headline. They got their pound of flesh out of that one. They got their nickel out of that one, didn't they? At a whip. But if you go search their site, Fukushima, you won't find a friggin' story. Nothing. But you would find iodine, right? Dr. Raymond Gilmedy, the the mad scientist who experimented down in New Mexico on beagles and puppies and hamsters, but mostly beagles and puppies, and they would kill them with plutonium, make them inhale plutonium, and some of them they would kill fairly quick, and a lot of them they would let them live out their cancers and let the cancer tumors grow. Beagles, because beagles got a big nose, right? It's a hideous, like in our society, that's not acceptable. It's just not acceptable. But that shows you how bad radioactive material really is, that they've killed tens of thousands just in that one lab of puppies and beagles. And there's labs like that all over the country, using radioactive material and gathering up data, and you're paying for that. You're never going to benefit off of that. That's not what it's for. It's for them to benefit off. And how does it affect you? How can you make it more wicked? Right? It's so dangerous that they do all of this stuff and then they hide it all away in plain sight. You go look up Dr. Raymond Gilmedy, and he's got 80 academic studies on mutilating and destroying and irradiating dogs with plutonium. And he also got americium too. But that's so important that these people are recognized for being monsters, literally monsters, at this, that the nuclear industry is a monster. That's what it creates. All the communities, wherever they end, you know, they use up all the water on the planet, 50% of the water on the planet. They destroy that water by boiling it and killing all the microbes and all the animals and all the phytoplankton in that water. And they've done that to about 50% of all the water on the planet now, fresh and salt. Put it through a reactor to heat it at extraordinary temperatures, and they kill all the life in the water. That's not what water is. Water is a soup of life, right? If you take a little drop out and put it under a microscope, it should be just millions of creatures. Instead, once the water goes through the reactors, you put a drop under the water, and there's dead creatures. And those creatures, I wonder, when you're annihilating all these creatures, are you creating methane? Are you creating global warming by killing all those animals and decomposing them? Most likely. That's a huge volume, 1 million gallons a minute going around these reactors of fresh water that probably goes down into your sink, right? That gets recycled because it's on the outside of the reactor. They're just heating the water to cool the reactor. That's a byproduct of it. And the reactors are all about making directed energy weapons. You can't have a directed energy weapon like the military wants and has without isotopes, without exotic isotopes, without the most exotic isotopes on the planet. What do they do with all the wasted lasers? Where are they putting all that material? What kind of landfill are they throwing that in? Are they dumping that into our oceans too, I wonder? Where the hell are they storing all of that shit to that's left over? Because the directed energy weapons don't last very long. They have to replenish it all the time with this massive, crazy radioactive isotopes. Yeah. It's a hideous monster. And so the more laser weapons and the more powerful, the more of the ocean they have to kill. Right? The more of the ocean they have to boil, the more of the fresh water they're going to have to boil. And they don't, that could be the plan all along, was to kill off all life on the planet by boiling all the water on the planet and killing all the creatures in it. And who knows what else they're doing. They're dumping it into the ocean. But all of this so they can have lasers. Now these isotopes are also important for space travel. But men can't travel in space, we go blind. But women can. And so if you can control all the tumors and a whole bunch of other crap, women could explore space. Men can't. Ha ha! In your face, man. Oh, women can deal with more radiation than men. Oh, well, in that environment. I'm not sure if radiation actually is why you went blind though in space. Maybe it was. But I don't think it was. I think it was another problem. But women didn't have it anyway. Highly radioactive sewage found 30 miles from Fukushima plant. 334,000 becquerels per kilogram. And so we seen the headlines a couple of days ago that the killer whales in British Columbia will be at around 1 million. We're doing some numbers today. 6 million becquerels or something per second. 250 years after it's dead. Well, they're not counting, right? When you do this kind of stuff, where they say how many becquerels, because it's 1,000 a kilogram, right? So if you weigh it out, like when you hear 1,000 a kilogram in the soil, see that I'm talking about here, you got to multiply that, 338,000 becquerels per kilogram. You got to multiply that by, I think, 28 to get a square meter. So multiply 334,000 becquerels by 28, and then the spot where your kid stands up to go to school is a square meter, say, in that area directly around him. Then how many would that be? That'd be, hang on. Why do I always do that? Why do I say for somebody else to do it when I got calculators sitting right here in front of me? I'm going to do it. Hang on, let me do it. I want to do it. 334,000. Whoa, like that number. Times 28 to get a square meter. 9.3 million becquerels a square meter. So highly radioactive sewage found 30 miles from Fukushima plant. And this was spread out. You'll be looking at around 9 million becquerels. 9.3 million becquerels. And so keep that trick in your head now. Debris from near Fukushima nuclear plant is being ground up and burned in other parts of Japan. Not put in a sarcophagus. Not even put, right? Put on a truck, probably no tarp on it. Driven halfway across the country, which is radioactive anyway. That's what we're showing you here. And I'm back and forth with directed energy weapons, don't worry. And, right, going to drive it somewhere else and burn it. November 8, 2012. Disposal of quake debris begins in Tokyo. Because Tokyo never got none, right? To be burned in Koto, radiation fears among residents will continue for years, over £1 billion. And then, got all these landfills where they're dumping all this stuff. And so that's washing back down into the sewer systems, into the aquifers. Japan is filthy with your radioactive material. But I just want to go down this road. Japan to burn drums of unprocessed radioactive waste from nuclear accident. Facility to build 100 kilometers from Tokyo. Gonna burn drums of unprocessed radioactive waste. You know what they want to do with all the drums? Those 1,000-ton drums they got, or all these big barrels they got down there, the refinery-sized barrels. Well, they want to evaporate it, yeah, and they want to boil it rather than dump it in the ocean. That's insane. Why not do what the licensing agreement says and put it in containers? I know, novel idea, Dana. Over the top, Dana. All of the nuclear power plants' agreement says they won't release this into our community, but they don't give a fuck about you. All they want to do is make directed energy weapons. All they want to do is create isotopes for directed energy weapons. They just don't care. They're getting all the money. No one's going to hold them account. No one's ever held them to account before. Nobody's even calling them out, really. We're talking about. And it's only been since Fukushima that we've seen a consistent increase of people rising up, and you can't shake these people off anymore. People realize how fucking fucked up that country is. Japan is a waste, 100%. So is Canada, so is the United States. And people say, I don't see bodies dropping dead everywhere. Don't you friggin' worry. You can't get away from what happened. We had snowstorm. We had St. Paddy's Day, or Groundhog's Day, every minute, 1,440 minutes a day, every day. for a couple of years straight, and it still didn't slow down. And so it's like living on the side of the dump, and the wind always blows right directly at your house. You're right there, and all day long the dump is blowing into your house. That's what's going on. The dump, this shithole down there. They won't let anybody in there. They're picking the homeless up and bringing them in there. It's like WHIP, where they says we had a truck fire 9 days ago and never went back in for 9 days because of a truck fire. Right, that was a cover story, right? They didn't want you to know because you would go to your Geiger counters and start finding it. No matter where they have radioactive fallout, it'll never be where you find it. It's always going to be radon or something else they can make up, bananas or walking in sunshine or getting x-rays. And it's all for the military-industrial complexes' next, latest, greatest mass murdering machine, directed energy weapons. And China's got to have it. Everybody's got to have it. That's what Japan was up to. And who knows what they were making those isotopes who for exactly. But it was part of the good old boys club. I mean, it's General Electric. Japan is not actually a country. Japan has been a prisoner since they dropped 2 nuclear bombs on them. Right? They were switched over to the democracy, which is where corporations, corporate personhood, rules your country, kills all your mom and pop operations. I mean, if you got Starbucks in your community, it's no good for mom and pop to have a coffee shop. They're done. If McDonald's shows up in your community, it's no good to have mom and pop restaurant. They're just going to be scratching a living for the rest of their life if they're lucky with some faithful customers. But all the big bucks are gone to McDonald's. And McDonald's is going to, the cashless society means all the cash is out of your country. All the cash is out of your community instantly. To the corporate personhood who doesn't pay any taxes. So they kill all your mom and pop. And so they're not paying taxes. They kill everything else in your community. They don't pay taxes. The corporations, the Walmarts and all these other friggers, they don't pay taxes. All their money goes in offshore accounts. They use that for lobbyists and to pay any fines they get. Because no one can ever go to jail because they got corporate personhood. You can't put a corporate entity in jail, but you can give it a fine. And so now the government has to tax you to debt, which is the opposite of what taxes. I know I digress, but that's important. You're not supposed to be taxed. Only corporations are supposed to be taxed, and that way government didn't get stupidly big. But where they're gouging everybody, your whole country lives on minimum wage, because they got to spend their check every fucking Friday. And so the government can count on that coming into the payroll, the taxes from all of that, right? And that's why they'll never change low wages. It's because that'll fuck up the whole system. It's dependent upon the minimum wage person not being able to hang on to a nickel and is going to have to go spend it all. No matter, and he's going to be in the hole for the rest of their life, so they always got to spend their paycheck every Friday, see? Whereas anybody who's making decent wage doesn't need to spend their check all the time. You can't count on them. They might save up their money because they're always making good money. But people on minimum wage, and that's the ones they recruit into the military, but they don't need people much longer, so they're phasing that out. But they need the directed energy weapons because that's the next greatest, latest, bestest, wonderfulest thing they ever have. Can't do no harm. It's a laser. It's really good, folks. We're going to get rid of bombs. And the laser is so powerful, even at this stage, after 50 straight years of commercial use, who knows what else they got done with it. They were bouncing singles off the moon for the last 40 years, allegedly. But they got the lasers, the technology. In the early 60s, they were able to pulse a laser at over 1 million pulses a second. Right, and so the technology we get to see is insignificant technology. It's obsolete technology. And that's the problem. We're burning our planet's resources up for these directed energy weapon isotopes. And they have no benefit to humanity. Whatever a laser could do, we could work out something to do it better. A laser can cut steel, so can water at 25,000 psi, okay? Just as friggin' good, if not better, than that idiotic fucking laser. It's like nuclear industry. They have to imported in every aspect of your life and make you think that your life can't be good without it, when it's the complete opposite. Your life can't be good until you're without that stuff. You can't have a life till you get rid of all the nuclear. And the nuclear industry is friggin' dead. And it knows it. But it's going to rape the system and your countries and everything else until you drive it out into the sea and drown it yourselves. It ain't going to go willingly. And it got might behind it. But, you know, most of these people got wives. Most of these people got children. And so if you can wake the planet up, you can win this battle. Because it's the last battle we got. And it's the only battle that's important. Is destroying the nuclear industry and controlling the future. Controlling the destiny of the human race. Not turning them into monsters, the transhumanism, the cyborg. Download your mind into the internet. Shut the fuck up. Google wants somebody to drive your car. Fuck off. Google glasses. You know, they're so ridiculous. They're so desperate. I screwed that up. Hang on. You know, Google, the myth about Google is they pay taxes. They don't. Google puts its money, there's a corporate person who for you, in offshore bank havens, tax havens, rather than pay taxes. Because it has they're unconstitutional human rights that corporations have. They're a cancer on the amendment to the slavery law, right? The slavery law was created to free blacks from a tyrannical government. And instead it's being used by corporations to oppress the entire democracy fantasy, to oppress the entire society and bring government and police and constitutional powers for their biddings, for shareholder interest. Now, shareholders' interest is to make money at all costs. It has to make a profit. That's all it's allowed to do, no matter what. If it destroys everything around it, it's okay, and that's acceptable because that's what their charters are like. But their actual charters were that you could surprise inspect them. That's why we have all these directed energy weapons on the planet, is because of this corporate personhood. Nobody can find out what's going on. And so they marry that with secrecy laws. And you think about marriage. Marriage is, who the fuck come up with that idea, right? I woke up one morning and said, hey, I got a great idea. Let's go get married. Nobody did. This was a way to tax you, a way to control you. You got to change your IDs if you divorce. You got to change your IDs when you get married. Right? So it's just a way to control you. You're a free person on this planet. You're just as important and you're just as equal to everybody else on this planet. There's nobody else on this planet any more important than you, no matter who you are. You're just as important of everybody. Right? And we all got to remember that part, that we are just as powerful and just as important as anything on this planet. There is nothing out there that is better than you. You're all the same. You all got the same hopes, the same dreams for you and your loved ones. You all basically want the same thing in life, to be left the fuck alone and to have the basics. Right? And not to be... Now you have to worry about GMO. Now you got to worry about GMO in your pet food. Now you got to worry about it in your baby food. And you do. Don't get me wrong. You have to worry that it's in your supplements. And you have to worry that it's in your pharmaceuticals. Because it's a threat. And that the system that claims it's your government, which is you, that's you, supposed to be. At one time it was, now it's not. Has allowed the GMO against your will to infiltrate every aspect of your diets and your life, and to destroy the hereditary culture of food in your countries, and it's trying to do that worldwide. Fracking is about attacking water, and radiation is about attacking water. And radiation, the whole system is designed to attack water, actually, if you really look at it. Right, because water, in our upper atmosphere or troposphere is all water. There's an ocean moving around our planet, miles above us. And that's why, like, cesium plays such an important part of this equation, even though there's so many more. But cesium gets absorbed into the water, and so it's easily solutable in the water, which makes it twice as deadly as far as I'm concerned. And so water is the transport around this planet. And so it rains out around this planet, snows out around this planet. And like Christina Consolo had said, snow got more edges to it. That's not good. So it can hold more radioactive particles and atoms, in other words. But once again, water is magical. Water is the only thing on this planet that exists in all three forms, liquid, gas, and solids. It's the only thing on this planet that actually exists in those three principles. But, if we were to say, God gave us life, well, God couldn't give you life without water. You can't have one without the other, so to speak. But you can have one without the other, so to speak. Because water is life, period. And water connects everything on this planet, and at all times we're connected to water. Right? Either through water, moisture in the air, through peeing in the toilet, through everybody breathing air, and the moisture from everybody is intermingled around this entire planet. It's interconnected with each other, is what I'm trying to say. All water on this planet is connected to each other. And so destroying the Pacific means you destroy everything else. Not only through the tropospheres, not only through the jet streams, or the St. Paddy's Day, endless St. Paddy's Day that's coming out of Fukushima. If you could see the radiation coming out of Fukushima, 1,440 minutes a day, extraordinary radiation from the detonations of all the fuel pools and the reactors, and the cores getting blown all over that site, and that's sinking into the topsoil. And all of this for isotopes for directed energy weapons. And that's what it's always been about. They've been able to use isotopes to make nuclear reactor power for almost 70 years. But they create these crazy concoctions, not to make more power. You got any idea how stupid that statement is? It's just as stupid as bananas, but everybody falls for it. Increasing the toxicity of the uranium and the plutonium in the reactor is not going to make the water boil fucking better. Right? It's a joke. It's a stupid... But because people don't bother to check to see what the fuck is going on, and they don't bother saying, it's only when you had the accident that the words MOX fuel came into the equation. And MOX fuel, of course, is 2 million times worse than any other reactor on the planet. That's the media headlines over and over. News stories over and over. And so that would mean that it's 18 million times worse. Just one reactor in Fukushima is 18 million times, number 3, rather. But we know 1 and 2 also had plutonium, at least 500 pounds of plutonium in each of them. And remember the video I was just talking about at the beginning of this, about Plutopia City, another link I got below. Right, you got, I got Rad Chicks down below to Climate Viewers site, and there's really good stuff there, folks. And you got Kate's, Fukushima Hounds, and everybody over there. There's a big crew getting there now. They're really looking good. I had a little peep there 2 days ago. And I guess I will try to, we'll have to start doing at least a show a week to start answering these questions that are gathering up there. I got to get back in the site, find the time. And I got a lot on the go. I was up to the studio today. I don't know what to make of it. I'll be doing a broadcast from there pretty soon. But there's a lot of noise. Oops. So later at night, I guess. Whatever. Hopefully that'll work out. But the noise really ricochets through that place. And so we're looking at a soundproof, but that's not what I wanted. But we do got another spot that I'm going to go look at, I guess. And it's 3 acres and it's 3,500, 7,000 square feet. And I kind of like that one. It's really nice too. And it's just because it's a friend who owns it. But it's really nice, beautiful, perfect. Surrounded by old growth, and it's really something else. Well, I live on the Sunshine Coast of British Columbia. I wear sneakers all year round. It's extraordinary here. And it's just radiation everywhere coming at us. So I'm not going to be here that long. We're checking, you know, I have people involved in, very close friends of mine, that are growing mussels out here for the last 25 years for food. You know, marine biologist partner for 25 years, and he died recently. But, you know, it's a real operation, and we're looking for all the signs. Now, yesterday here, out just down the road here, the entire coastline was full of herring spawning. And the sea lions were going crazy down there, and the dolphins. And they were spawning. It was just a mad fury in the kelp right along the entire, what we call the wall, the coastline here. So we got a whole lot of beaches we can walk, drive down to. And so that's kind of cool to hear that's going on. But I mean, the ocean, you know, to see it, I know, but I mean, the ocean is full of radiation right now. We got St. Paddy's Day every day coming into it. And it gives you hope to see it, but you got to take it into consideration what's coming. That doesn't mean they're not all radiated, but they were all spawning. That doesn't mean they'll have babies either, right? And I used to dive in that 3 months a year through all the babies from all the spawns of the sea urchins and the mussels and fish and everything else spawn pretty well the same time. So 3 to 4 months a year, the ocean is a soup of life. And you're diving in it, you got all you can do to see that far in front of your face, 6 hours a day on the ocean floor. And but you're trying to close your eyes when you're sleeping at night, and all you can see is these trillions of little babies swimming, you know. It's like the ocean, because the ocean doesn't, I work in the open ocean for many years. I'm retired. I got retired the hard way. Anyway, let me get off that one. Come back over. Go back to this one. Let me jump up to this, and I come over and say hi to people. Minami Soma City. That's not that far away from Fukushima. But they found plutonium in every sample they took there. In the highway and cracks in the road and stuff like that. Every friggin' sample. During November 2012, Kita garbage facility was putting out numbers, big numbers of cesium. And the Atlantic said on June the 4th, 2012, is the government trying to contaminate every region of Japan by burning radioactive debris? If everyone is contaminated, then in a relative sense, no one is. And here's another headline, May 22nd, 2012. Incinerating radioactive materials could contaminate the environment. Well, you can't hurt the isotope by incinerating it, right? And like Christina Consola Rad Chick was saying, you can't even do it with battery acid. So if you can't do it with acid, so if you got a piece of metal and you want to decontaminate it, you can melt it, and you will with battery acid, and you will liberate that isotope. You can take it and put it in an incinerator and melt it, and you will liberate that isotope. You can't build something hot enough outside of a nuclear chain reaction itself, but the isotopes have been liberated into the environment, released into the environment, set free, free radicals. And so the plutonium got 24,250,000 year life, 24,000 year half-life, but a half-life It's not got nothing to do with half. It's actually times 10. So they just lie to you at every turn. They tell you that the ocean is full of uranium-238, but that's natural. And that's how they done this. And the uranium-238 left over, which is a yellow cake, and used in weapons, at 2.5 million rounds a month in Iraq and Afghanistan for 9 years. They were firing 5 million rounds, half of them, every month to get 11,000 Taliban. They raped their own 29,000 times a year for a decade to get those 11,000 Taliban. They raped 29,000 of their own soldiers. They're raping their own that much. How much are they raping in the countries they're occupying? You got 22 veterans committing suicide on the streets every day to get 11,000 Taliban. You got 5 million orphans in Afghanistan to get 11,000 Taliban. You use up 27% of the energy and everything on the planet to get 11,000 Taliban. You bankrupt and destroyed country after country after country to get 11,000 Taliban. You took away all your freedom. They grow up almost 1 billion in you every year at your airports to get 11,000 Taliban. Gotta have a boogeyman. And they created the Taliban to help overthrow Saddam Hussein. That pushed the Russians out, right, the Mujahideen. Didn't you? Taliban was your friends. You were supporting, giving them weapons, like you are now in Syria and Lebanon, which has all the Palestinian refugees that have been wandering for 63 years, 5 million of them. And then you have Japan. But all of this to keep you off balance, and at the same time, we got to have directed energy weapons. Because Russia's going to get them. China's going to get them. We got to get them. France is going to get them, dirty fuckers. And where we're going to end up at this, where we're going to end up by creating all these directed energy weapons, and not even accounting for where all the waste from all that goes, all those radioactive isotopes. Don't think they're depleted, okay? They're just no good for the lasers. They're like the yellow cake is no good for nuclear production. They only can withdraw like 0.8% of a percent. The rest of it turns into uranium-238. Oh, Dana, uranium-238 is harmless. The ocean is full of it. Yeah. Not chain reaction, nuclear fission. Well, it is now in the Pacific. St. Paddy's Day every day, all day. Coming to the Fukushima over the cores, not mention all the rods that are sunk down into the topsoil from the detonations. Fukushima plant will burn radioactive waste. Incinerators will run around the clock. July the 2nd, 2013. Japan burning Fukushima debris 10 miles from Daiichi's nuclear plant, February the 1st, 2013. Post-Fukushima horror. Severe impacts on oceanic environment and unpredictable amount of damage to the Pacific. October the 5th, 2001. January the 5th, 2012, massive radioactive waste buildup in Tokyo suburbs. Centers over capacity since September. They can't burn it. The waste disposals, the sewage treatment facilities, they're piling up instead of using it. Find a way to reuse the waste from, right? They can't because everybody's pooping out cesium. Everybody's pooping out strontium. Everybody's pissing out, uranium. Not that, you sequester it all into your body and you grow tumors, but you're also radiated. There was 5,000 Fukushima workers just in the first month that had like 10,000 counts a minute in their bodies at the Fukushima hospital. The entire country is like that. Everybody's pissing and pooping and spitting. Cesium, plutonium, uraniums, americiums, neptuniums, and strontiums. Get your strontiums. Get your radioactive poop. And they usually use that to grow fertilizer and everything else at these places, right? But they got nothing to do with it, so they're going to just start using it for fertilizer. Fuck it. Fuck it. We're going to burn it in incinerators. Fuck it. The rain and the storms are just going to re-liberate it all over our country every friggin' day. It's still hemorrhaging into the atmosphere from the 3 melter reactors is still hemorrhaging into the ocean. Fuck it. Ha ha! It's like a banana. Then Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution runs around the country non-stop. It's like a banana, it's okay. Time it gets halfway across the ocean. It's potassium fucking 40. Flying around the country. On all the radio shows, TV shows, all the universities, all the institutions, non-stop for 3 years. Go, go, go. Ken Buesler, Jay Cullen, go, go. Indoctrinate the entire country. Nothing to worry about. It's like a banana. And the Fukushima Hound says, not so fast. Not so fast, mister. We don't think you're telling everything. Chiba incinerator dust is 70,000 becquerels a kilogram. Grow your vegetables and that shit. Tell me how your kids are looking. I mean, the entire country is going to be sterile in the next couple of years. Not 10 years, not 5 years, but in the next couple of years. U.S. to burn hundreds of tons of radioactive waste. Now, if you go watch that Potopia City link I got down below, after you read Rad Chick's article, you got to read that one. That's a great article. Very kind to me. You can skip past that part and read the rest of it. But it's a really good article is what I'm trying to say to you. But I don't want to give it away because that's why I'm trying to avoid it, because I'll give it away. U.S. to burn hundreds of tons of radioactive waste from Germany and Tennessee. They're firing 2.5 million bullets a month in Iraq. Depleted uranium-238, not coated, not tipped, into other people's family cars and hospitals and schools and distribution centers, common areas. And it was if the car backfired, all the troops were to shoot up every house in the neighborhood, just in case someone fired at them, and that way they wouldn't harbor any terrorists in those neighborhoods. Depleted uranium. I know soldiers personally that told me that every soldier had to fire 100 rounds minimum a day out of their guns. No one knew why, but now we do. And they were all told, oh no, it's harmless, it's okay. Now when those bullets leave the chamber, think about the A-10 Warthog shoots 1.5 tons a minute, 71 Nagasaki bombs of uranium-238, the animosity equivalent of radiation, right? But the soldiers were firing it. The 50 calibers are it. The 30 calibers are it. I can't remember. There's something like 28 different rounds for soldiers to fire of the uranium-238. Each one of them are dirty bombs. They're dirty fucking bombs. And Al Jazeera had a video up there tonight where they talk about how a terrorist might get hold of a dirty bomb and spread it around the city. Shut the fuck up, man. You got any idea what Fukushima has done to every fucking thing on this planet? Every orifice on this planet? You can't escape it. You got to learn to eat healthy. You got to learn to avoid GMO, and you got to learn to speak out. You got to learn to assert your dominance over the system and take back the system through sheer non-compliance, through sheer demand. You're going to have accountability, or there ain't going to be no future. You're going to have to take those 4,800 peer-reviewed academic studies that are locked up at Ulster, Springer and Wally every day and flip them around and start doing something good with that. If you took any of your problems you got in your country right now and put 4,800 universities to work on it, do you think you could solve it? Of course you could. 4,800 professors and their students on it, rather, with a budget to solve an equation. Do you think we'd fix it? Of course we would. But they take all that and they put it on trying to find out how they can muddle your life, destroy your life, make it better for a handful of corporations, let people like Google corporate personhood dominate and steal all your information, and all can happen to them is they get a fine. But if you go out and you go fucking hack them, you go to jail. They hack you, nothing. If you get caught, they get a fucking fine, and they pay, instead of paying taxes in your country and helping support your country, they take advantage of everything in your country. They get the lobbyists to give them free money, and they stick all their money, all their taxes in offshore accounts, and they buy up competition so you can never get rid of them. And then the directed energy weapon industry, That's going to be used to destroy your future, to take away all your freedoms. Not going to be used for anything good. There's nothing good about weapons. There is no need for them. Everybody's sick of it. Those were for the Stalin days and everything else. I think everybody was sick of it back then. But these war hogs, these mass murder machines, nuclear power plants, which are military industrial complexes for making directed energy isotope weapons, weaponized isotopes for directed energy weapons. The entire future is based upon directed energy weapons. Everything in the future is going to be based upon these isotopes. So they're not planning on getting rid of it. But I see the death of it. In order for them to do what they want to do, we need nuclear power plants everywhere to create the isotopes for this idiotic ideology of raping the country and destroying the natural resources on the planet and destroying the habitat till the end of time just by boiling water. You're destroying the fucking planet just by boiling all that water around these reactors. You're destroying the ecosystem of the planet. It's the worst imaginable global warming event. You know, it's you can never have a good outcome of boiling all the water and killing all the microbes on the planet, and you can never have a good outcome of putting radiation in every aspect of everybody's life and equating it with a banana. 54 minutes. Okay, I'll give it up. Fukushima will start burning radioactive waste 100 becquerels. Think about, let me finish on this. Think about the Asian, Trans-Pacific, smog comes right across, like it lingers in big, Asian cities. Smog, you can't breathe. Everybody's going around with a mask on. Can't breathe. And it sits there for weeks or a month. But then it gets picked up in a storm or a cold front or whatever, and lifts it up and it gets carried across the Pacific Ocean. You don't need a cataclysmic event for all this radioactive material to find its way over. So when they're burning stuff at the incinerators that I kept talking about here tonight over and over, all these different headlines, burning and liberating the radioactive isotopes back into the environment, there's a lot of heat in the incinerator. That puts it up higher, like those Trans-Pacific pollution studies have shown. The smaller the particle was, the more heat. So the incinerator, but like forest fires or just automobiles, just the normal factories, still had no problem. 30, 40, 50% of it making it all the way over where it lingers over big cities and contributes to the pollution in those cities. And so when you added in the studies that showed 1,500 buckyballs, radioactive particles and atoms per cubic meter of air in California, you can't even, these are nanoscale particles, you can't even build a filter without living inside of it to protect you from those, and so we got to win this battle. That's what I'm trying to say to everybody, is we got no room now. We got no room to be the nice people to try to, we'll get a politician, we'll get him elected, and he'll make some changes, right? No, this is where you have to assert your voices. And if you had 1 million people come out tomorrow and go off on one of these events, these people probably wouldn't start up another reactor. They're scared of the light. They're scared of you pointing a finger. They're scared of your narrative. Even if you didn't know what you were saying, they're scared of you saying something. They don't know who you are, but they're scared of you saying it. They're monitoring all the time in case somebody does show up and say something. But if 1 million people come out, they can't control that. Just a few of us out there, they can control that. Right? But if millions were to come out, they're fucked. And that's what we need to do. And we got the reasons, and we got the answers, and we got the who's, and we got the where's, and we got the what's. And we got right on our side. And that's enough. If we stand fast and the community stands behind it, with logic and facts, we could win an opportunity, right? So I'll come in and say hi to everybody. But that's what we win. We win an opportunity because a lot of the planet is fucked, what they got done. There ain't no recovering. But we have the ability to get past this. But we won't in the near future. And I don't mean years down the road. I mean a year or 2 years down the road. We're in deep fucking trouble. We're in deep trouble now, folks. That's why I'm here every night. We're in desperation mode. And so there's nothing more important than having a lucid conversation with a good outcome. And we have worked this out. Hour long. Okay, I'll come and say hi. That's it, I'll give it up. It's just, this is a battle we will win. Because we're smarter than them. And you don't have to be that smart to be smarter than them. You just have to have a bit of courage and some fortitude. And you got that. You may not realize it, but you got that. Okay, folks, checks and balances. Stephen, the Fuki Hound site checks and balances, the link down below, second link down below, I think it is. You'll see it there. Hi, Stephen Meyer. Yeah, we have it right on our side. Stephen's working hard, folks. Check his stuff out. Kate is working really, really, really hard, folks. Extraordinarily hard. And doing a wonderful job. And we will make sure to support her constantly. And that's a commitment, okay? Candace, DC, Britta, no thumbs down to show. Thanks, James. Original Punisher. Gloria, Cats Alive. Stacy, thank you, Stacy. We love you, honey. Jill, Michael Han, Jeb, Adam, Zip Free. Kind of went back and forth that time. I gotta watch what I'm doing here. Don B, John Close, Kate again. Thank you, Kate. And FukushimaHounds.net, freeform.net. See Kate Yelsays. Kate, you'll see her name there. You'll see a link below my video to the site. Ruben. Okay, Kathy. Missing Sky. Really hard worker there, folks. You'll find links below if you're watching this later. Missing Sky 101. Miss Milky's been posting a lot lately. Bless her. And we love Miss Milky. Tree. Ketzer K, everybody else, Craig, Pasha, Patrick, Ninth Wave, Pet Lovers, RU, hi honey, Alvin, EF Spider, Wanna Be Live, Tracy May, hi Tracy, you've been busy, I see, thank you honey. We got everybody, that's pretty good. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, loves you too, Kate. We appreciate what you're doing, honey. You keep doing it. That's your thing, and I'll get to it. Probably won't be for another week or so, but once I get to it and once I figure it out, that'll be easy for me to keep doing it. So I'll make that first one, and I'll do a good job. I'll spend like a day going through it and work it all out, and then shortly after that, when I know what I'm doing, I'll do a show and answer as many questions as I can, and then schedule the rest of them for the next show, right? And so, I'll be in touch with you when I start doing that. I'll send you some messages and stuff anyway. And everybody else that's supporting that site, we thank you. Like I said, once again, go over and go give it a read over the Rad Chicks. It's important. Let's get her some numbers on that. And so that gets registered out there. Get some nice comments in there if you can. And just remember, right, she works extraordinarily hard, and this is what she does. She writes articles, right? And not a lot of us, Miss Frill, I know there's a number of people out there writing articles. And so we need to support that because that's easy to do. And it's fun, too. It's cold, right? All right, folks. We'll catch you all tomorrow night where we go wild on... Oh, I'm not going to give it away. We'll talk to you tomorrow night anyway. Google doesn't make me sign out twice. It'll be a surprise. It's almost like they're begging me to say something else when they do this to me. Let me see. Rewind. Yeah, there's a rewind function on this site. I gotta figure out how to use that one these days. We're still trying to get set up with everything because I gotta get a .org up and running in the next couple of weeks, and I gotta get everything sorted out so I can do the press releases. And so I'm In one sense, I feel like I bit off way more than I could ever chew. In the other sense, I like chewing, so probably perfect. I'll be chewing on their heads every day. I think that's I don't know how that can get misinterpreted, but chewing out their ears is what I should be saying, because that'll get downloaded now and used to demonize down the road. Too funny. Are you sure you want to stop streaming the live event? See, they should say Mr. Dana or Mr. Durnford right there. How hard would it be Google to do something like that? Instead, they treat me like I'm a machine. You will not be able to restart. Well, I only click it once, and it's usually when it's over, so it's okay, Google. I'll catch you folks tomorrow night.